Hello there, Salim Omar here from the e-commerce Money Map podcast. I've got a special guest for us today. His name is James Bond. James, welcome.
Thank you, Omar. Thank you, Salim. Salim Omar. You're awesome.
A lot of people do that. So James is one of America's top behavioral management specialists. He shares powerful brain science techniques, secrets that propel your profits to the top. He's got 30 years of experience applying brain glue to hundreds of clients, businesses, marketing campaigns, and he's got a best-selling book, I think, right behind you for those of you who are watching this episode. He's been around, and he's been around very famous people. He has worked with four very famous people you'd know. So yeah, I'm really just looking to dive in, James. So let's start off with the first question, which is, how did Kurt Cobain, Snoop Dogg, Warren Buffett, and Malcolm X use brain glue to stand out from the crowd?
Well, they use different tools. So let's do Kurt Cobain. He used tools like certain words that really jump off and attack the brain, like "Smells Like Teen Spirit." That's a famous song he had. Okay, so what does Teen Spirit smell like anyway? It's I call it sensory elevation. Okay, it's certain tools you can use. There are lots of different ways you can use sensory elevation, but he used that. Blue Emu, which is arthritis cream, says it works fast and you won't stink. It's like, what? I remember watching a commercial and had the ex-baseball player Johnny Bench talking, blah, blah, and I wasn't even paying attention until he said, and it works fast and you won't stink. And I was like, what did he just say? And it got me focused. And I think what's really important in marketing is we have to remember that we have to stand out from the crowd, because our audience is so bombarded with competitors and information and on their phones and everything, that if we don't stand out from the crowd, then we won't sell. But if we do stand out from the crowd, I mean, John Gray was telling me Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus used to be called Men, Women, and Relationships. And it's like just an ordinary title. And he sold a few thousand copies. But when he changed the title to Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, he suddenly went to 500,000 almost overnight, 1 million, 2 million, 10 million. You know how many books he sold? More than 50 million books. I mean, how many products is your customer, the people on the podcast? I haven't sold 50 million yet. I hope so, I do, But it's just, we have to understand that just by changing a name or coming up with a different way to describe what you have can explode your income. And so that's why it's just really exciting. I got like tons of stories. I mean, we talk about the tools of brain glue. We talk about Warren Buffett, and I work with Warren Buffett's team. Brought me in to help because of my behavioral management background, to explode the sales of Mutual Savings Bank in Pasadena, because all these people hated selling, and he wanted to find out, is there some way that we can change the behavior so people actually love selling, are passionate about selling, and are high performers. And we exploded their income. It was just amazing, and people went from hating selling to loving selling because of some of the tools we used. But Warren Buffett used like metaphors, which is a really powerful tool. That's like Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus is a metaphor, because we're not really from a different planet. Any of you ladies out there, I don't think we're really from a different planet, but maybe you think we are. But Warren Buffett loves metaphors, and one of my favorites was, only when the tide goes out do you discover who's been swimming naked.
Yeah.
I love that line.
Yeah.
But what's it saying? It's more powerful than if he said, only when times get tough do you realize who's really not that competent. Okay, it's more powerful and resonant in the brain. It sticks to the brain like glue, which is why I focus on brain glue. It's like, how do you say something or give your product or service a name or a description that resonates with people, which is like, Smells Like Teen Spirit is a perfect example. It's like, smells like Teen Spirit? Like, huh? And then you listen to the song. It's a fabulous song. If you don't like it, too bad, but I love it. And
So using the right words can help us differentiate the business, right, or a product or a service, right?
Absolutely.
Using metaphors can help to do that
Well,
as
that's
well.
one tool. That's one tool. There are lots of different tools. I mean, there's, a Utah couple. This is first to show you and show your audience like who this benefits. So a Utah couple, and they understood this. They didn't use brain glue, but they use a tool as a brain glue. But a Utah couple, a mom and her son came up with a product, really simple product, a toilet stool. But they came up with, and they have no business experience, but they have such an incredible name for the product that people would laugh and buy the product. In less than 2 years, they reached $100 million of sales in less than 2 years, just because they came up with the name of the product. What was the name? Squatty Potty. Okay. They came up with, it's a toilet stool. If they would have called it the toilet stool, that, so you put your feet on this little stool when you're in the bathroom, would it have become as successful as Squatty Potty? No, they ended up being on Shark Tank, and people are lining up because it triggered in the brain. It's like you can tell what it is. It's kind of fun. It's funny, but it just resonated. It stuck to the brain like glue. I had a construction company I work with. One of the clients, after 10 years, they reached 2 million in sales. These three partners, okay. By applying brain glue in 1 year, they went from 2 to 10 million in sales. And 2 years later, they reached 32 million in sales just by a simple change they did. And I'll tell you what the change was. But the point is, in 10 years, they reached 2 million. In 1 year, I took them to 10 million in sales. They razzed me like crazy. They went, "Hey, Bond, it was supposed to be 12 million. My comment, "Shut up," as they bought each other the biggest BMW you can imagine. It's each 3 gifts, for the 3 partners. I mean, they couldn't believe how much money was rolling in just because they made a little change. So what was the change they made? So first, they're a construction company. So I had them pull out a whiteboard and make a shopping list of all the different types of clients they were going after. And it took a while, about an hour, oh, wait, we forgot this one. Okay. So they put this shopping list of all the different types of clients they're going after. Then I said, okay, now we're going to play a game. We're going to pretend that you guys are going to only pick one of these, and you're going to stop going after any of the other ones. And they went, well, we don't want to do that. We don't want to turn away business. I understand, but we're playing a game. Let's play this game. So we went through the shopping list of all the things, and they said, you know what? We've done it for 2 different companies now a few times. Fire restoration for insurance companies. We worked for insurance companies that had a client that had a fire. And so when you go in, when they have a fire, the first thing you check is the frame of the building. If the frame is damaged, you got to tear down the whole building. But if it's not damaged, then you want to set up the building, make sure it's not going to catch fire again, and you want to please the client, et cetera. And so they said, we can focus on fire restoration for insurance companies. That would be kind of fun. I said, okay, good. Now we need to use brain glue and come up with a way to describe it. So when your clients are, when the insurance guy, the insurance clients that you're looking at have a client that has a fire. So the first word that comes up is fire. So let's come up with a word that says fire. Fire extinguisher. Why don't we call you guys the fire extinguisher for insurance companies? We'll get the website firex.com. And they laughed and they said, okay, that's kind of funny. I said, yeah, let's do it. And I went on a presentation with them. They went on presentations. The clients would laugh as they were buying. They would go, so just think of us as your fire extinguisher. And they go, oh, okay, sure. And every time they had a fire, guess who they called? The fire extinguisher. And overnight, they said they just were not going to say no to all these other businesses. They started saying no because they were getting so much business from insurance company after insurance company that the sales took off like crazy. Now, I know we're focusing on e-commerce, but the issue is name your product, name your description in such a way that it can make your product explode off the page. You won't believe how often we get a product and we just slightly tweak the name or slightly tweak the description and suddenly sales explode. So it's just, I took these guys this was at the beginning of Brain Glue when I finally went, okay, I've got the theory. Let me start applying it with my clients. And once I applied it with these guys, it was like, whoa, this is like easy. This is easy. I'm telling you, this is the secret. I found the secret to becoming richer in business than you ever thought possible. And it's blowing people's minds. And it's using brain science to make it easier to get people to say yes to you. And just one last thing on this. So I was talking to Jack Canfield. Now, Jack Canfield sold 500 million books, okay? Doesn't need me telling him anything. He sold 100 million Chicken Soup for the Soul and 400 million chicken soup for the teenage soul, chicken soup for the cancer survivor soul, etc. Well, he started reading my book. At first, he got mad at me. Okay, he got mad at me for a few reasons. One is he said, "I got so many books to read. I started reading your damn book, and I couldn't put it down." Okay, it's the first thing. So I'm like, "I'm sorry. Can I use that as a quote?" You know.
Right.
But my book was titled, because I'm logical, as many people are logical. My book was titled "Sell More with a Right Brain Marketing Strategy." That's a left brain title. And I'm teaching people right brain selling, emotional selling. And he said, "I'll give you quotes, but you got to change the title of the book." I said, "What?" He said, "No, your whole book is about brain glue. Why are you calling it Sell More with Right Brain Marketing Strategy? Brain glue. Change the title. You can have the quotes, take the quotes." Said, "Okay." You know, I mean, it was terrifying because, you know, you try to get lots of reviews, and people love the book, which is really, I'm so thankful for everybody who's given good reviews. Even, you know, I've never got bad reviews, but it's just, but he's right. I mean, for him, he said, "This is mind blowing. In fact, it's so mind blowing, I'm forcing everybody in my company to read the book." And it's because when you start seeing the tools of brain glue, you start to recognize, I mean, it's amazing how easy it is to make your company escalate in sales in levels that, you know, you never even expected. I mean, it's so hard because we're competing with so many things that you want to stick in the brain like glue. Does that make sense?
So, yeah, totally. So the application of brain glue is when naming a product, it is describing a product. Yeah, you've kind of shared it from that standpoint. Are there any other applications of it? And then we'll kind of segue into another aspect of this topic.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'll give you an easy one is presentations, including sometimes you're looking for partners. You know, you want to partner in your business, or you want a joint venture partner, or maybe you're going to go one-on-one with a client because you have a client that has an opportunity. You know, even though you're an e-commerce company, you want to partner with somebody else. I know somebody, Brendan Burchard, a lot of people may know him online. And he partnered with Steve Harrison. Steve Harrison helped Jack Canfield, a lot of famous people, Robert Kiyosaki, who did Rich Dad, Poor Dad, become really successful and famous. And so Steve Harrison has a website, I mean, he had an email list that had, at the time, over 80,000 people. Now he has over 100,000 people. And Brendan Burchard wanted to partner with him because it's the same audience. And so what he wanted was Steve Harrison to do 2 one-hour teleseminars. And of course, Brendan gave Steve Harrison the list of the questions he could ask. Well, it took 6 months, for good reason, for Steve Harrison to agree. And the reason is because, no, you protect my list. He has a good list, a list that responds, that has a high open email rate, a very high open email rate. And so he doesn't want to damage his audience. But after about 6 months of Brendan working with Steve Harrison finally said, "Okay, we'll try this." In two one-hour teleseminars, it's 2 hours, okay? Brendan was selling a $5,000 program, okay? A weekend program for $5,000. After 2 one-hour teleseminars, they got a little over 200, I think 202 people. 200 times 5,000, you know how much that is? $1 million. You're a CPA, you probably know this, okay? They got $1 million. And guess what? Steve Harrison got to keep his $500,000 because they split it 50-50. Steve Harrison got to keep his entire $500,000 just for doing 2 one-hour teleseminars because of the power of his list, you know? But you have to be able to explain it in such a way that it resonates with the person you're trying to partner with. So they go, "I'm willing to do this." So brain glue applies, you know, it's amazing what brain glue applies. I mean, so let me give you an example, 2 examples, okay, where brain glue goes beyond just selling products. O.J. Simpson trial. Johnny Cochran said, "If the gloves don't fit, you must acquit." Okay. Was that powerful enough to get O.J. off from an almost certain guilty verdict? Of course, O.J. pretended the glove didn't fit him. Okay. And so there were 2 jurors at the end of the trial. And a journalist was asking them, you know, with all the evidence against O.J., how come you let him go free? And one of them said this while the other one is nodding her head in agreement. And she said, "Well, we knew if the gloves don't fit, you must acquit. The glove didn't fit. We had to acquit." Okay. So I had this mom telling me totally different thing. This is showing you different examples. So this mom tells me, "Okay, you're an expert in brain glue." By the way, John Gray, who did Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, told me, never tell people you're an expert. I tell people I'm an expert in relationships because of Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. Then I go home and my wife proves me wrong. Tell them you're a specialist. So I'm a specialist in brain glue, okay? But she says, you're an expert in brain glue. Could you help me with my 14-year-old son? I'm like, okay, you know? Said, well, what? She said, my 14-year-old son said, why do we have to follow so many rules in life, mommy? How do you answer that? So I said, okay, let's start with rhyme because that's a brain glue tool. So what rhymes with who? Why do we have to follow so many rules in life? So what rhymes with rules? Fools. Okay, so only fools don't follow rules. Okay, so that's a line I could use, but let me make it even stronger and come up with a metaphor or analogy. And so I was brainstorming with her and I came up with a really powerful one. And I sat down with her son and her, and I said, so you asked your mom, why do we have to follow so many rules in life, right? And he said, yeah. I said, okay, when you're thirsty, you could drink out of the toilet, but why would you want to? Remember, only fools don't follow rules. And then he said to me, oh, that makes sense. First of all, getting a 14-year-old to say anything makes sense is a miracle. So I escaped quickly before he asked me another question. But does it really make sense? Or did I just trigger parts of his brain so it felt like it makes sense? So I'll give you two political phrases that don't make sense, and yet they resonate, okay? You can't hug a child with nuclear arms. Now that resonates, you can't hug a child, that's emotional. With nuclear arms, that's emotional, but very different. We call it anchoring, but we anchor these two things that don't normally fit together. And suddenly, whoa, this is really powerful. Okay, it's like Snoop Dogg and Martha Stewart. Those two things don't go together, and yet they're partners. And suddenly Martha Stewart is on, what do you call it, a drug magazine, and promoting the drug stuff. And Snoop Dogg is on Better Homes and Gardens magazine on the cover. I mean, he would never have gotten there, but they partnered. It's just, so here's another political statement that has two things that don't go together. I heard this, it's funny. A comedian came up with this. Now I want to say up front, I am not going to be pro or anti-gun at all in this. I'm just fascinated by how it applies brain glue. And it's, the right to bear arms is almost as crazy as the right to arm bears. Okay. I mean, it doesn't make sense, but it resonates because it uses brain glue tools. Okay. I didn't come up with it, but I'm telling you, when you start seeing this, you start recognizing, oh, wow, he's using it. Oh, wow. That's why they became so famous. That's why they're so successful. That's why this product has suddenly become a blockbuster because Squatty Potty. Whoa, what a product. Let me tell you, they made their money initially only online, e-commerce, Squatty Potty. People go, Squatty Potty, what? With all the money we spend on advertising, and promoting our products.
This is so fascinating. It's so interesting. And I'm currently reading a book, and it's the name of the author escapes me, but it's on Amazon. It's on Jeff Bezos. So it's analyzing how the biggest e-commerce company in the world, how it communicates to its audience, to its shareholders, and the metaphor and using, what you're describing is just kind of, he used all these techniques in communicating with his audience and his customers and so forth, and he built one of the biggest brand.
Exactly, and think of Amazon and think of Alibaba. I mean, they're not, think it's a coincidence. Alibaba it uses alliteration. It's a name that we know. I mean, there's so many things. Think of Rocky Road ice cream, okay? Because Rocky Road ice cream, it isn't like you open it up and you get rocks, okay? No, it's it's chocolate ice cream with nuts and marshmallows, but they call it Rocky Road ice cream. It was actually developed during the Great Depression, and it helped Dreyer's ice cream go from like trouble and struggling to suddenly have a blockbuster product. So Rocky Road uses a metaphor because it's not rocks. But the second thing it uses is alliteration, Rocky Road, a repetition of sound. So I started realizing, look at how many major brands use alliteration. Coca-Cola, Best Buy, PayPal, TikTok. TikTok is a massively successful brand, multi-billion-dollar brand. You think it's a coincidence they use alliteration? Do you think it would be as successful if they called it the Chinese web platform, the Chinese social media platform? No, TikTok, they recognize this is so powerful, it sticks to the brain. And people go, hey, man, you got TikTok? Like, did you see this on TikTok? I mean, it's powerful. And so Rocky Road also uses something called humor, which when laughers are buyers. If you can get your clients laughing, like, Squatty Potty kind of makes you laugh. Okay. And so Rocky Road was developed during the Great Depression. And this nickname for the Great Depression was the Rocky Road. So their concept was, we're all walking on a rocky road. We're all on the rocky road anyway. We might as well have Rocky Road ice cream. It kind of makes you laugh a little bit at hard times, but it resonates. I mean, these are it's amazing things that when people start to recognize this and start plugging their product into these tools, they start realizing like sales take off. And again, it's because we're so overwhelmed. Let me give you a simple example, okay? So there's a childhood phrase that a lot of people know, which is head and shoulders, knees and toes, eyes, ears, mouth, and nose. We do it with little kids, okay? So if you're coming up with a dandruff shampoo, what would you call it? Why don't you steal the name from that nursery rhyme and call it Head and Shoulders? You think it's a coincidence that Head and Shoulders came up with the name? No, they stole it directly. They knew everybody knows head and shoulders, knees and toes, eyes, ears, mouth, and nose. Let's call it Head and Shoulders, and because it's already stuck in the brain. So now we're gonna be stuck in the brain. Every time they hear Head and Shoulders, knees and toes, eyes, ears, mouth, and nose, they're gonna think of us. And every time they think of shampoo, they're gonna think of Head and Shoulders. Sales exploded.
Right. Now, do you have would you have a knee-jerk reaction if I gave you a couple of names and you say, yeah, I like it or I don't like it? Would that...
Sure.
All right. So these are my brands, but I want you to.
Okay.
So my e-commerce brand for e-commerce owners is eSenshi. It's a CPA accounting firm that works with just e-commerce business owners. eSenshi. It's a Japanese word, senshi. Senshi means warrior. So it's an e-commerce warrior. We're the warriors for the e-commerce business owner.
Okay, so if you called it eSenshi and underneath you said the e-commerce warrior or for e-commerce warriors, then that would help.
And that's how it is, right? There's a subtag. Yeah, there's a tagline.
So that would work. E-commerce warriors are really good. Yeah, that's a good title or subtitle.
Good. So positive.
Yeah. And remember, I'll say a way to improve it is, I'm not trying to get you to improve it, but for e-commerce warriors that want what, or that want to explode their revenues. So it helps if you're going to put an action in there too.
Awesome. Great. My second brand is Straight Talk CPAs. It's an accounting firm for businesses across many different industries.
Okay. Well, that's good. And I saw your website is awesome, by the way. If you guys haven't got to Straight Talk CPAs, you got to check it out. It's awesome. It's plural, CPAs. Yeah. But it's good. It's very left brain. Let me start there. Okay. It's very good because you're saying straight talk, but you're giving them, it's very left brain. The two scientists, Gerald Zaltman, who is at Harvard University business professor, and Daniel Kahneman, who's a Nobel Prize winning psychologist, both separately, but both discovered and then share this, that more than 90% of business decisions, especially finance decisions, but more than 90% of business decisions happen when you trigger the emotion sides of the brain. And that's why you got to trigger the emotion sides of the brain. So Straight Talk CPAs, it's logic, not emotion. And so, Straight Talk CPAs, we're easier to talk to than any other CPA on the planet. Or I'm not saying, which makes it easier for you to grow your business, grow your business with easy talking CPAs. You know what I mean? As a subtitle would be, grow your business easier with easy talking CPAs would help. But yeah, so
bringing in that action, that action there is kind of what you're right, adding that in, looking at it.
And here's the thing to note: we work really hard to bring somebody to our website. And somebody told me this early on. I always remember this. You work hard to bring somebody to your website. When they leave, usually they'll never come back. I mean, we're going to do retargeting. And that's why retargeting is so important, even though retargeting is changing this year. We understand that, okay? But, retargeting and capturing email address with an opt-in is critical. But, but still, retargeting, we're going to have to see with how retargeting works because we live on retargeting. But why do we live on retargeting? retargeting is essential in e-commerce because they come to your website, they leave, and they will never come back. Think of it from that standpoint. So, you want to assume right from the start, if they're coming to the website, you have the highest conversion possible. This is a conversion tool. We want to, with all the work and all the expense we make to bring somebody to our website, we want the highest conversion possible. And if somebody can give us a trick on how to make it even higher, why would we say no to that? And that's why, people are saying, this is blowing my mind. And, they read the book twice and 3 times, they're underlining everything, and they're saying, and they're telling me how they applied it, that's rewarding to me because, reading it is great, but applying it, when people apply this, they say, wow, and they start sharing what the results were. That's heaven.
This has been so good. I'm looking at the clock and we are almost to the end. So I want to kind of do 2 things. James, one is how can folks get their hands on the book, and then we'll kind of end it with kind of anything I should have asked you that I didn't ask you, and we'll spend a minute or so there. So first things first, how do folks get your book? What's the best way to do that?
So it's available at bookstores, but the easiest way to do it is Amazon. And all you have to do is go to get Brain Glue, type in braingluebook.com. It'll take you right to the Amazon page. And then you can, Amazon lets you read, free pages and stuff like that. You can read the table of contents. You could see lots of the Brain Glue tools, which will really help you. There's also an audio book. I didn't narrate it. We have this fantastic narrator, Johnny Unitas, and he's hilarious. And so you can actually listen to some of that also. But yeah, braingluebook.com is the easiest way to get and just to check out more of it.
Super. Awesome. Great. And what's like the one thing I absolutely should have asked you and I didn't?
Well, you kind of did. You asked me if I was tortured because, if it comes natural to me. And the answer is not really. This is meant for logical people like me. Okay. And it's because because remember, the title was originally called Sell More with a Right Brain Marketing Strategy, and that was not right brain. I'm selling here, do right brain selling, and here's my book with a left brain title. It was terrible. And so Jack Canfield got me to change the name to Brain Glue. But yeah, just remember, it's easy to fall into the trap because we always go back. I mean, you're a CPA. I mean, I'm just a technical person. I fall back to, we still understand the logic of it. But no, when I'm talking to somebody, I go, oh, I've got to be emotional when I talk to them, but I want to tell them about the logic. So it's easy to fall into that trap, but it's also, it's fun. It's fun because once you see people respond to, my book is Brain Glue. People go like, Brain Glue? I love just the expression changes, like, all right, I connected with them, so yeah, it's fun.
Awesome. Great. James, thank you so much. This was amazing. We need to bring you back.
Salim, thank you so much. This was fun.
You take care.
You too.